Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen, or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Joining us on today's show is Karen Gresham Nickell. Karen is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and internationally renowned intuitive psychic medium and clairvoyant. You can learn more about Karen by going to KarenGresham.com, like Karen Gresham Nickell on Facebook, follow her at Gresham Karen on Twitter. Karen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tony. It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm going to start with my first question that I always ask everyone. What are your gifts and how did your journey begin?
Well, first of all, I am a clairvoyant medium. And I do many things. I work with a lot of people and who have messages from those that have loved ones who have passed on, and also with animals. And I also do readings, and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I teach people how to find that inner power within and how to reprogram that in order to attract what they want to have in this life theater. And I also do a lot of work in the UFO area, and have had work with experiencers. Also, I started this when I was 14 years old. And it was a result of the death of my mother. And so it was like a gift. And it's when things started, because a year prior to her death, I was told that she would die in a year. And I began to get myself emotionally ready for that. And when it happened, it really startled me as a child. And as I grew and studied over these many, many, many years, I began to learn a lot about why this had to happen and how it was. And I'm very honored to have been had this experience, because I had a wonderful mother who was an angel, and that's how it all started.
Yeah. Now, prior to your mother passing on, did you already have the gifts of intuition, or did something just kicked in after her passing?
I think I came in with it because I knew that she was going to die a year before she died, and I found it in a dream. And it was given to me in symbolic form in a dream, and later, as I remembered all of that, I saw it. So it was something in some of my guides that were programming me to get ready for it. Because I was an only child and I was really close with my mother, so she was everything for me. And it really began to play out. So I even asked for, it was for Christmas, I even asked for a tape recorder. Back then we had those tapes, that went on reel to reel.
Reel to reel, yes, definitely.
And, I wanted her voice. And so I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want to scare or frighten anybody. So I had everyone to say something. And so somehow, mysteriously, it disappeared. I think it made a lot of people, the close by or in the family, thinking that I was very different. And so that tape disappeared. But maybe it was supposed to. So I would say that I came in with this, because usually light workers come in with this when we've been doing it for many other life theaters before this. This is just how this one started out.
Right. And it seems like, and there's been a lot of people like us that we have this gift, but we just don't acknowledge it or really don't pay attention to all the experiences until one day we decide to accept it and we go with it, and then we start looking back on our life and realizing, this did happen. It was kind of strange, but I never thought anything of it. Was it the same thing for you?
Exactly. And that's very well put, And I also think that it takes a lot of emotional feeling to get into that path. And sometimes we have incidents in our lives that cause us to get either frightened or sad or worried or an emotional feeling or the loss of someone or anything that helps us get into that other level of opening. Many people have said that you have to walk through the dark forest when you get on this path in order to see the light and get into the light. And the dark forest is symbolic to me of the lessons and the feelings and all of those emotions, because extrasensory means just what it says. And a lot of us, all of us who are like this, are extra sensitive.
Absolutely, yeah. Tell us about your work with David St. Clair. You worked with him as a researcher. Tell us about that experience.
Well, David was my hero, and we worked together from 1977 to 1991 until he passed. And it was kind of funny. I had been, this was in the 70s, I had been all of a sudden awakened to this Brazilian music. And this is a very short story. I would make it short because this takes a week to tell this.
Okay.
And back then, Sergio Mendes was very popular. And so I went out and bought his music. And I bought the one called Primal Roots. And I don't know why, because that was never a real popular one. Mm-hmm. It played it over and over again. I was living with a friend of mine because we just graduated from college. And we ended up in this meeting at the Church of Religious Science meeting. And there was a book laying on there called Drum and Candle by David St. Clair. So she bought this for me, and I read it. And I said, well, I'm going to have to talk to him. And so I searched him down, researched him, and his father answered the phone. And he said, well, he's at a press conference in New York right now. I really can't give the number, but for some reason I feel like I should. And so I called him, and he was marvelous. I can't say enough good things about David. There's a web page on that Carolyn and I are working on right now about him, and have been for about a year. And he said, I told him what had happened. He said, I would like for you to go do research for my book. He said, I'm psychic also. And he said, I know you are. And he said, you're going to be my best friend. And so it just happened just like that. And he sent me some money, and I was a kid, barely in that age, just storing up money to go to Brazil. And then I met him at the airport when we got back and helped him with his workshops. And we worked ever since all over the world. And Brazil I lived there off and on for 8 years with this project that David and I did. That was very, very incredible and rewarding. And I must say, as far as a mystical country, it is the most powerful one that I have ever known. In fact, there's one person there now that I would recommend to many, many people. And his name is John of God. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's the real thing. And I can say that because I speak pretty fluent Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And I've been there 4 or 5 times. And I can't say enough good things about him, but he really is the real thing. And I highly recommend him to anyone who might be in need of him for any way. They just go to www.johnofgod-healing, and they can find out all about it. So there's so much. David was a brilliant person. He was in Brazil in the early 60s when they were having a lot of political revolutions, and he actually was a writer for Time and Life magazine, along with being an independent writer. And he wrote, he was friends from the president of Brazil and his first lady that he wrote an article about in McCall's magazine in 1962. Plus, he also was one of Antonio Carlos Jobim's best friends, and Tom Jobim wrote The Girl from Ipanema. So David he would come here and he would do workshops. We would put on these workshops, and there's one sentence that was magical, and it's called the cosmic forces. And when he was living in Brazil, that he went to see this psychic, and this Brazilian psychic gave him the sentence, and I'm going to give it to you now.
Mm-hmm.
It's called, I bring the cosmic forces into my body, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. Well, he took that sentence and he worked with it, and they showed him how to open with his arms and how to teach people how to actually bring that in. And 2 or 3 years later, he was in Los Angeles doing some events there. And he went to another psychic, and she said, by the way, there is something that I'm supposed to be telling you, that it is a formula, a gift from the cosmos. And he said his eyes got really big, and she said the very same sentence, the exact words in English.
Very interesting.
And so he used that and did fabulous things. It really works. He has a book called Instant ESP that is Lessons in Instant ESP and How Your Psychic Powers Make You Rich. And he has many, many, many books. So Carolyn and I have done a web that's connected to my website, KarenGresham.com. That's Karen, KarenGresham.com. And he is, you can read more about him. We need to do more work on him. But David was quite, probably, I think he was probably the most powerful person I've ever known, because he's been to me. I was with him the day before he died, and he told me that he was going to die and that he would never leave me. And he really never has. And he's manifested. He's done many things for many people. And even when he was ill, he was in London. He had just finished a book, and it was about to make a film in the United States. And he was in the hospital. And there, where he was also a resident of England and the UK. And he got up and had everybody to get up in the cancer ward, and was talking to him and making him feel better right on the spot. So there was. Yeah, I just can't say enough good things about him. So that's him. Mm-hmm. And if anybody would have any questions, or they can go, it's David St Clair, ST.CLAIR.
Wonderful, thank you. So this gentleman bought you a ticket. He was a total stranger, and you went to Brazil to meet this gentleman.
Absolutely. He said, I came in, I was very young, and just do just about anything.
Wonderful.
And he said, I told him I was a reporter and I needed, he laughed and he said, well, let me go get my scotch and water. He said, first of all, I'm not a reporter, but he said, you are going to be my best friend. And he said, we're going to be together for years and years.
That's wonderful.
And he said, so he knew that.
And what made you feel so safe to go to Brazil to meet a total stranger? Was it something that you also knew, or what motivated you to do such a move that would require a lot of, I guess what I'm asking you, did you just go without even thinking about it?
At that age, in my mid to late 20s, I was pretty fearless I would just do just about anything. I was kind of like a female Indiana Jones. And so I was scared, but I was scared in an exciting way. But he pretty much had people mapped out for me. I landed in Rio and then took a connecting flight to Recife, where this priest met me in a car with his subjects, and he was an African priest named Payadu. And they took care of me, and then he found a lady who was very sweet, whose husband was a physician at the Amazon. And I lived with she and her 2 daughters who spoke English for a couple of weeks while I was there. And they had the television, and they handmade me this beautiful dress. And it was in the news and all over the television, and they crowned me Rainha de Pombagira, which is called Queen of the Gypsies in reference to and in honor of David St Clair. Mm. And so it was quite exciting for me, and that was my very first year there.
Very interesting. You already mentioned cosmic forces. Tell us about your workshops, private consultations, and incorporating the cosmic forces into our lives. If someone was to do your workshop, what can they expect?
Well, my workshop consists of individual because everybody that comes to me is at a different level. And I do work with families or a few people, but as far as workshops, like what he did, like a couple of hundred people or 100 people or whatever, I don't do those. I do them more individually because I'm trained, I feel, to help people with whatever the block is to remove and to help them to awaken that consciousness level in order to pull in and a trust in a higher power of the cosmos and to learn what that really means and how important they are and how they are a part of God that manifests their heart's desire. And so I hope that answers it a little bit. It's very, it's first of all, the person has to realize that we come in here, in my opinion, we there is no death, and we come in here from ingredients and everything that we're carrying in a body before we ever come out into the material physical body. And we go into a theater just like what Shakespeare said and many people, and we have come in contact with many people we've been with before, events, situations in likeness of other things from the past, other times, other theaters that we're here to work out. And some things are fated, like karmically, like, your soulmate may be fated, or a certain profession might be fate. But within those realms, there are decisions that people make while they're in their earth theater that take them forward or they set them back. Mm-hmm. And usually people deal with the things that people have issues with are finding their abundance, of allowing themselves to be abundant and to draw to them an abundance and to turn it over to the universe. And that's hard because most of us, we weren't programmed that way.
Right. Yeah, and I want to ask you, you referring to human theater. What is meant by human theater?
I call it that, life, our lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Our life theater. It's a play. And I don't mean it to be short of emotions when I say that, but we are characters mirroring each other with issues. And everybody that comes into our life from the tiniest microcosmic importance is there for a divine purpose. It's not, there are no mistakes that are really made. There are no wrongs or rights that are really done. There is a higher power out there that is positioned to put you where you're supposed to be. Then each individual develops while they're in their lifetime. And as long as we're in a physical body, we can work on these things. Before we leave and become in the observer position and take our evaluation of inventory, so to speak. But when the person does that and they take the inventory position, they don't look at it as that was wrong, that was bad, that was good. It's merely an observation. Because in the different consciousness levels, the physical plane consciousness level has totally different feelings than the consciousness levels outside of it. Because we are a multifaceted consciousness being. So we have many consciousness levels that's a part of each one of us.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. Tell us about your time in Rio. What happened there?
Well, a lot. It was a very incredible situation, a project. And I had a big story. And then also I was in Bahia and did some research with It's an Afro-Brazilian spiritism, and it's called Umbanda. And we went out into the jungle and experienced this wonderful primitive faith and experience. I love they each one of us. Basically, these things are based on Catholic icons because Brazil is a Catholic country.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your Imajá, for example, who's the goddess of the ocean, which I was the Filha de Imajá, which is daughter of Imajá, and then you have Filho de Imajá, which is son of Imajá.
Mm-hmm.
And she is symbolic of Mother Mary. And so then they have, that's kind of how it works. It's rather interesting. And then Brazil has many spiritual religions. The other one is called Spiritism, Kardecicism, with Allan Kardec. And Allan Kardec was a Frenchman who went to Brazil, and he was a philosopher and a teacher. And so you have your Kardecistas, the people who are Kardec, people that's higher. That's a higher spiritual realm of light and energy. In fact, in Sao Paulo, there's even a university that actually where they teach quantum physics and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's quite experience. I also began my sound career from Brazil with my music because I do personalized CDs, and through my sound, I have 4 CDs out that I was very fortunate enough to have John Serry, who's the #1 composer of space music. He just won a wonderful award of the best composer in his field a couple of months ago. But I have worked with his music in the background and making CDs to teach people how to open that part of themselves through meditation, visualization, or just allowing whatever to come in. Plus, whenever I see someone individually, I do a channel for them. I have a recording studio in my place here,
Mm-hmm.
and then I place them on the table, and then I go into my little room and channel, and it's a professional recording of what they need, that I tune into, that they need to make that happen, whatever they wish to manifest or what they're working on to increase their power or to raise anything that might be holding them back. So that's what I do. Music is everything to me. Sound is everything to me. It's so important to all of us. It helps us to visually create. It just is. And most of the time I have to have good sound or good microphone in order to be able to do it the way it needs to be done on a sound level. So, yeah, but I love my work, and that's who I am. I don't just do it whenever I'm with an appointment. I'm doing it, living it all the time. As all of it, we light workers are doing, right?
That's right. I definitely agree with that. This is Tony Valen, host of Healing from Within. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, Karen Gresham Nickell. Karen is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and internationally renowned intuitive psychic medium and clairvoyant. You can learn more about Karen by going to KarenGresham.com. That's G as in girl, RESHAM, and then Karen, KAREN. Like Karen Gresham Nickell on Facebook. Follow her at Gresham Karen on Twitter. Karen, you're also a pet and animal communication sessions, or you have those. Can you tell us more about those experiences?
Oh, yeah. Right now, I have been working with 3 Ridgebacks, and they are just beautiful. I work with them, and they are very evolved. The person who is in fact, they belong to a person who is an owner of a beautiful company called Lily Paws. It's
Okay.
Lily Paws, Paws, and they We work with treadmills with them. We work with them through love and energy and crystals. And when I'm with an animal, it talks to me, and I'm able to transmit or give messages to their owner. I work at some dog shows, or I was doing that for Susan, the owner of this company,
Mhm.
last year. And I had an experience to where this woman came into this little tent, and the dog was with her, and he was really sad. He was beautiful, and she said, "What am I going to do?" And I said, "I hate to tell you." I said, "But your dog really," I said, "wants to go somewhere else." And she started crying, and she said, "You're right. He wants to go be with his brother in California." And I said, "Well," I said, "I think he thinks you favor the other two dogs more." He's saying that. His back was to me. And she started crying, and she said, "I think it's right." She said, "I'm so glad you're helping me process this." And that dog walked up and put his head on my knee and just looked at me. And
Yeah.
that usually they're good. They're never like that. I mean, they're cute and they want love, and they want to say, "I'm jealous that you're petting this one more than me," and something. But this was a heavy one. So hopefully he got to his brother in California.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you about when you communicate with pets, or when pets are communicating with you, more specifically cats or dogs, when they're talking to you, do they do like little face expressions or something that is clearly seen by someone that would say they're communicating with you?
They can with their eyes,
Yeah.
and they make sounds too, and they can make movements with their paws or something. And then when you do it, they get real excited because
Yeah. Yeah.
they do that. I know recently when I was, like I said, I was in with the dolphins. That was heavenly. They are just magical. They'll almost talk to you outright.
Oh, yeah.
I had I was at the Dolphin Research Center in Grassy Key, and I painted with. Well, you could get to paint with them, and so I was in this gift shop, and I saw these two pictures. This was incredible, and it was a lady who had been there with her wanted to paint with a dolphin, and she had two pictures, and the woman that I was talking to, I saw these two photographs, and I said, "What is the story on these two photographs?" And she said, "Well," she said, "this is a lady who came wanting to pay for a session to paint with the dolphin. We didn't know anything about her, but her dog had died 2 weeks prior to her doing this painting with the dolphin. She didn't bring these pictures out. She didn't say anything about it. So when her time came about to be with the dolphin, and the dolphin takes the paintbrush in his mouth and the dolphin painted the face of this dog. Nobody knew anything. And then later, the woman pulled out the photo of the dog and said, "I am totally surprised." Said, "This was my dog who died 2 weeks ago." And so I have pictures. I said, "Can I take a couple of pictures of this thing? I'd like to put them in my newsletter." So I haven't done that yet, but I plan to. I thought it was incredible that the dolphin was picking that up from that woman's energy field.
Yeah, definitely. I have speaking of pets and communicating with them, I have this cat that has this little red mouse, and it's a little play mouse with a yellow tail, and he sings to it. And I always wonder, what is he singing to it, and why does he sing to it?
How cute!
So it's very interesting.
That is wonderful. Well, it may be alive on his level, and it may be a being or his little playmate, and it comes on the physical plane in the form of a little or little toy like that.
Mm,
And sometimes they can do that. Like little children will have well, they say it's imaginary playmates when it's just little entities that are helping out.
yeah.
That's precious.
Wow.
What is your cat's name?
The cat's name, his name is Bradley.
Bradley. How sweet. Yeah. Well, he's picking up all of your light worker energies. He's emulating. They emulate us.
Oh, interesting. Well, he's a very sweet cat. He's a rescue cat actually. So, tell us about your contributions to the book Don't Look Up.
Don't Look Up was a very good book. It happened at the time. I didn't contribute to it. An editor wrote it, but I was called on back in 1988-89 by a psychiatrist near Wytheville, Virginia, who told me that if I stayed there, she had a little compound next to the clinic for 3 months and interviewed about 200 coal miners, that she would make it well worth my while, which it was just heavenly. And there is a Wytheville UFO experience. And so every day, about 8 hours a day, I would interview these coal miners. And she said, I know they're not hallucinating. I know that there's something to this. And sure enough, she was exactly correct. I mean, they were seeing ships, they were seeing experiences, they were seeing lights. I think it was one of the most rewarding times I've ever done. They're very sweet people in that area and very real. And at that time, later we found out that the CIA and a lot of the federal people and government were combing the hills. And we went out. I went out with these other 3 physicians who we tried to see if we could see something, but we couldn't, and we didn't. We were so busy. I was so busy doing the interviews that I couldn't really have time to do that. But that was going on, and if people are interested, they can Google it. Wytheville UFO experience, Wythville. And I was there for 3 months, and it was delightful because I do believe, and I'm sure, that there are other people here who are, maybe they're hybrid. They have parts of their DNA are a little different from the normal. And I do believe that we are being visited by many, many different races of cosmic societies.
Absolutely. Do you think are you referring to the ones that they call star seeds?
That could be, yes. You mean the children?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So you think these people were also abducted?
Well, I don't do much with the abductions. I think, people ask me all the time, well, are there good ones or bad ones? And, like in the universe, in this world, are there good people or bad people? There are people of all types, just like this is a small grain of sand in comparison to the cosmos. There are many worlds. All of these people are, you have everything. It's a melting pot. But I don't deal with abductions. I deal with experiencers, people who've had experiences with it, they get signs and synchronicities with it. So it was about, I've dealt with many people to teach them how to actually see the lights and to have communication with the light ones, the ones of the light. And they come in as light. We see them as light. But from the light years in the station where they are in relation to the position of Earth, or wherever you say it, they could be seen as a light, when in actuality where they are, they could have a form just like we do. We just see them from where we are here as a light, or a colored light, and these people can actually physically see colors. When I teach them, but I think they're all around us. I mean, Earth is a very easy place to visit. Are you kidding? I mean, most people, or there are a lot of people who don't even acknowledge that there are people from other places. So it must be extremely easy for them to come here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So I'm a little confused. So I'm sorry, you called them experiencers, is that correct?
I call them, people who've had experiences with extraterrestrials. in some ways, like maybe hearing a sound or seeing a light, or maybe even seeing them.
Mm.
And as far as the ones that I deal with are of love and light, and I've never had any bad experience. The thing about it is that a lot of them shapeshift, or either shapeshift and take on human form when they come here, or they come in here and they're not here, and they're somewhere in their world, and they're very much like us, and they look like us. They don't look that much different from humans. I mean, they're just from another world. They're from a higher world. They're from a world that's more evolved, that has more love, and without the ego and without the harshness and the things that we're dealing with here. There is a higher level, and there are many higher levels. There's someone that I admire very much. His name is Paul Hellyer, and I had an experience of being with him at the 2013 Starworks USA conference with Paula Harris, and he was the ex-Minister of Defense of Canada. And they had the disclosure of May of 2013, where these people went to Washington and were heard by the Senate. And he talks very much about it. So that's on YouTube if people want to go there and check him out. It's Paul Hellyer, Hellyer, and it's a disclosure May 2013, and they'll pull it out and be able to watch that. There's just so much. There is just so much that we are here to do. And the thing about it is, what I've realized, what I've recognized more, and I've asked other people about this, how time seems to be moving so quick of a day. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Time just seems to be, it's like someone turned a knob or something and speeded it up. What's going on there?
See, it is incredible. And even little kids say that. Some people say, well, it's because you're getting older and you think that. No, I ask children. I think, and I'm not going to be able to say this very sophisticatedly, but I think it has something to do with where we are in the galaxy, and I think it has to do with some beautiful workings with people or societal guides from other star systems. I really believe this. Because there's just so much down here. It's almost like everything on the physical plane, if you get too much into the physical plane, everything has been done too much. The Earth's tired. It needs to be helped. And I think that there are many races who have come here to try to save us from destroying ourselves. Basically, that's what it is. And to help us. And for some reason, maybe we're feeling this speeded up time. But it looks like, it's here it is like Sunday a few days ago, and then all of a sudden tomorrow is Friday.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just within the snap of a finger. Isn't that amazing? And everybody says that. Everybody talks about it.
Do you think that the other thing, because I do a lot of research on everything, and when I do this show, we call it Healing from Within. So I talk to everyone and anyone that has to do with helping us and healing and advancing and teaching, from psychics to mediums. And I always say in a loving way, I think I find this level of crazy, yet there's another level of crazy on top of that. And that's just my way of saying that we do discover different things. And the one thing that I'm researching and I'm finding, and I wanted your opinion on it, everyone keeps talking about, or some people, I shouldn't say everyone, some people talk about disclosure, that real soon the government and everyone's going to have to admit that we have had contact with aliens and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it is going to come to I believe that. I know Dr. Stephen Greer, who basically gave up his medical practice to do that. He's, him, and he's done a lot in that. I feel like that. But what happens is that maybe if you're at a certain level, you have to be at a high enough vibrational level through love in order to make contact with these higher beings, because they are of love and a higher light. The ones that I'm talking about, the ones that you're talking about, they come here through love and compassion and to wanting to assist. And I think that the government doesn't want us to know, because then there would be a lack of control. I think it would mess with a lot of religion issues for those who are real conservative or real judgmental. I don't know, but I do believe that maybe that's a very good, interesting you said that. Maybe this time speed up is the preparatory of this entrance that they're doing. And I think that some people might just not be able to have handled it.
Yeah.
We have people who are ill or mentally ill and all the things that happen, and I don't know how they would handle it. So I think that in the right time that it will happen. Yes. I think it's all around us now. I think those of us that are supposed to awaken to it.
Yeah, and it's funny that I agree, because I think it's all just happening like it should be, the steps, because I definitely see things developing, steps being taken, and we're just going into the next dimension, I guess. So I wanted people to tell you talked about 4 CDs. Tell us about your 4 CDs and how they can get them.
Okay, well, they're on Amazon.com, and one of them is called I Am Cosmic, and I have done it in Portuguese, and then I have done it in English. The other one is called Cosmic Resonance, and that's another one that teaches people how to meditate and to go within. Mm-hmm. And the other one is Planetary Enlightenment. Then I did another one that is posted on my website whenever I was at the Chicago conference in May. Not this May, but the May of 14. And so they can find that. And if anyone, whoever chooses to contact me in relation to that, they can call me at 214-521-0869 or go on to Amazon.com and just type in my name under CDs, and they should get there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what's next for Karen Gresham Nickell?
Well, I am looking forward to being to opening the conference in Laughlin, Paula Harris's conference, Starworks USA, in with a meditation in November of this year, and I'm working on that. And then I also continue to work to develop these people who have projects. I have one person that is published some children's books about lights, and she's a Dallas Independent School teacher. And her name is Judy Lowe, and she has books on Amazon.com for children metaphysically. And she has done a lot of things, has met with many people. She's worked with people and cancer children at MD Anderson. She's met Joel Osteen and many people who are working in the spiritual field. And she had all this is about her own personal experience with the light. And she's she's a tag teacher, talented and gifted teacher in Dallas for the public school system. And these children I think she's definitely been called on, because someday these children will be the ones that will be leading the planet. And you know about the crystal children and the indigo children.
Yes, I do, definitely.
I knew one, and someone asked me if I would let she and her mother come on to a show with me, and I said, well, I would ask, and I said, but I'm very doubtful that the mother would want to do that. But the little girl could make a computer in her hands, just a little tiny box, and just make it right there.
Really?
Yeah. Amazing.
It is amazing. Well, Karen, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been real interesting listening to you and everything you have to say to us.
Oh, it's been great with you too, Tony. Wonderful. And I've enjoyed being here. I'm honored, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Our thanks to Karen Gresham Nickell. Karen is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and international renowned intuitive psychic medium and clairvoyant. You can learn more about Karen by going to KarenGresham.com, like Karen Gresham Nickell on Facebook, and follow her at Gresham Karen on Twitter. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Contact me directly, Tony@TonyValen.com. Please follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.